You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Bremen Motor Cars and by Wellington Anti-Aging. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.
This to get within one.
Yeah, looky there, baby. I think it's safe to say Tiger Woods is back, right?
Yes, it is.
Just amazing watching that yesterday. How many people are plugged into it, too? If you're on Twitter, like, that was just everything that people were tweeting about.
That was it. And it was funny because it was another one of those moments like the British Open where, you know what, you stop your Sunday. You have things
absolutely,
to do.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
When you saw what was going on, and I was kind of like, just through the weekend, I was busy, I was out of town, and, I was trying to, like, stay plugged in at what was going on. I was watching, I was like, okay, Tiger's within striking distance. But, notoriously, Tiger Woods is not an ace on the final day. He usually just holds off other people, and he's had that intimidation factor if you go all the way back 10 years when he was winning major championships. For him to play lights out like he did and gain strokes and try to come from behind on a final day, that just really doesn't happen. I mean, you look at what he did yesterday, that's something that Tiger Woods has never done. That was his best score ever in the final round of a major. He had a 64.
It's startling, isn't it, to think about that?
Yeah, well, it's an odd thing about a guy that's been so dominant. It was so dominant so quickly. When you look at how many majors he won and how fast.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, when like you said, the start of his career, he couldn't lose.
Yeah, he couldn't lose. It was kind of crazy. And, hats off to, Brooks Koepka, and we'll get to him in just a second. His third major that he's now picked up, and he's won, 3 of the last 6 majors that he's played in? He didn't even play in the Masters.
Amazing. He was on his couch watching the Masters. Like
2 of the 3 he's been in this season, he won. So, that's really amazing, too. You don't want to take anything away from that. He's, one of only 5 golfers to win 3 majors by his 30th birthday. So, what he's doing is absolutely amazing. But, to compare, Tiger Woods had 8 by 30. Brooks is looking at, 3.
3.
Unless, he keeps winning next year. That's possible. Jack Nicklaus had 7. So
it's a little different.
I think that's what it is. And, for Brooks Koepka, I think the interesting thing about him is, in a sense, getting that notoriety, and I think it's a chip that he's got on his shoulder. Here he is. He's a West Palm Beach guy.
Yeah,
lives in Jupiter now, and he was talking about just even this week he's working out with Dustin Johnson, and people recognize Dustin Johnson. Nobody recognizes him. And
it's amazing.
It's got to eat at you, saying, "Okay, look at this. I got pretty good credentials myself. What's it going to take for people to know who I am, what I look like, for Kevin to stop messing up my first name?"
Hey, look, man, it starts with a B. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Brooks, Bruce, whatever.
But that's the whole thing. It's like that's the thing with this guy. Is he's like going, I'm not getting respect. What is it going to take? And when does he get that? Because you look at this and still the story, it's not Brooks Koepka. It's Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Everybody is talking about Tiger Woods.
Absolutely, and I don't think it's a knock on Brooks to say that we're talking about Tiger Woods instead, because if it was Dustin Johnson, we'd be talking about Tiger Woods. No matter who it is, if it was Phil who won the PGA Championship, we would be talking about Tiger Woods because he was right there at the end. He was a couple shots off there on the final hole. He is the story, and he's one of the only guys in all of sports who can be the story even though you don't win.
Is it fair that Tiger is the headline? Because you look at the folks. Okay. I agree, and I think this is why. I'll give you a number that the Gronk loves. 69.
He loves that number.
He loves that number.
If he was here, he'd be giggling.
69. That is the percent increase in the ratings on CBS's sports coverage from this year's PGA Championship to last year's. 69.
Dude, that's crazy.
% increase. And I'm sorry, it wasn't because of Brooks Koepka.
No.
It was because of Tiger Woods.
Maybe there was more households in West Palm Beach because he's a local name coming from Cardinal Newman, or Florida State fans since he played at Florida State. But when you almost have a 3/4 increase from one year to the next, it's incredible.
And and I think for him, and maybe it's still the headline is Tiger. And I got to tell you, it wasn't until after the tournament I'm like, oh, that's right, that guy's from West Palm.
Right.
You know, and I'm still trying to imprint this guy into my brain, and it's not fair, and I don't blame him. If I were Brooks Koepka, I would have a chip on my shoulder, and I'd be angry, and I would probably play the way I am. But it's not hurting you.
No.
But, I mean, you're still having to chip away. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. Last night I even put this on Kevin's other show, Twitter. This really sets up, I think, a fascinating 2019. Because you got Tiger Woods in his last two majors here, a factor on the final day. When he started off not too good, middle of the field in the Masters. I think he missed, or did he miss the cut in the Masters? One of the two. He didn't even do well. He's middle of the field in one. He missed the cut in the other.
Right.
In the first two majors this season. So here he is the last two, though. He's been good. And then you got Brooks Koepka that has won two out of the last three. You know, I think golf is better when you have rivalries and when you have this. And can Koepka sustain? Can Tiger sustain? If you can, going into 2019 in the Masters, you're looking at a really fascinating year next year between these two. And on top of, you're talking about two Palm Beach County guys.
Right, yeah. I mean, Brooks is actually from here, and Tiger, of course, is one of the more famous residents of Palm Beach County. So that's pretty fun.
I mean, it's really actually very impressive. I mean, being in Palm Beach County or being in South Florida, I mean, got to give some love to this county for what we're pumping out in golf. There were at one point, I think there were 6 guys from Palm Beach County that were competing in the final round yesterday.
Gosh, was it that much?
That many. And, I mean, you look at the top golfers in the world. I mean, you've got 4 of the top 10 are from Palm Beach County. Dustin Johnson's 1. Brooks Koepka's 2.
Yeah.
From Jupiter. Rory McIlroy lives in Gardens.
Right.
You got Ricky Fowler in Jupiter. He's 9. That's 4 of the top 10 are in Palm Beach County.
And then Tiger, I think,
in the world. Tiger's 26.
26? Okay.
But he was 1,500 something or other.
Right, exactly. So
yeah, so I mean, that's how much he's climbed up.
Yeah, remember where he was at the start of this year. Forget it.
You know, and Ricky Fowler's not playing bad. I mean, he tied for 11th. He was 8 under.
That's not bad.
You had Daniel Berger from Jupiter was up there in the top 20.
Oh, Berger. We can't forget him.
And Gary Woodland from Delray Beach in the top 20.
Man.
So, I mean, that's just how many Palm Beach County golfers are in there competing.
We're killing it.
In the world.
Yeah.
You know, it's some impressive stuff.
And you got to love it, too, with Tiger. I mean, you think about what he's done. And again, like we said before, is it fair for him to be the story, even though Brooks is the guy who actually won it? And it is, because he's Tiger Woods, and he is back. You know what, for me, too, it's a little bit of personal vindication. I was walking around with a little bit of a strut this morning, because I've been saying, for a few months now on the show, that Tiger's back, and now it's kind of evident that he is, and he didn't have to win.
Yeah.
He does not have to win to be back, because he's back in the national conversation, and he's back playing on Sundays. And it's huge. It changes the game of golf.
And it's back-to-back majors. And what you always accounted for before, when Tiger was a factor, you pretty much figured that Tiger was going to be in the hunt on the final day.
Yeah.
And now he's done it consistently 2 in a row. Now, if he continues this into next year, and then the question is, here he is at 42, how many more years does he have of this left?
And I was going to say, don't forget, too, this isn't the last tournament he's going to play in this year. I mean, it may not be, as far as majors go, but he's got other tournaments. He could still win something before this calendar year is up.
Did you see some of the footage? Some of the stuff that was fun was even the after the effect stuff. They both get done. Tiger Woods, he goes up, and his girlfriend, that Erica Herman, she's the one that runs his restaurant at Harborside Place. She's the GM there. Yeah. So they do like a little kiss, and then did you see her go after she gave him a solid pat on the ass. It was like going, all right, girl, go. You digging in there.
There was a little finger, an interesting placement of the finger.
Oh, it was kind of like it was like a little message for later. You know what it was? It's like, all right.
Hey, now we know what Tiger's into, huh?
You go sign that card. I'll see you in a little bit. And then did you see Brooks Koepka's girlfriend?
No.
Tiger walks by, and she has like these googly, like, she's
no.
just like, oh yeah, like,
oh no, no.
It's a great little video. If you haven't seen it yet, you got to go to our Twitter. Kevin's other show.
Poor Brooks. Brooks, keep him away, man.
Well, and it's part of the thing. And some people were, that's the commentary. Yes, winning people love winning. But even if he keeps winning, is Brooks Koepka going to start being that new person we root for? And you know, he's come off a little bit like, he's, you know, said on the record, golf is boring, that he's not a golf nerd. And, you know, some people are like going, okay, this guy thinks he's too cool for the room. You know, is it because of his age? Is he reflecting what's going on? Or if he keeps winning, I think, you know, America loves winners, right?
Yeah, I mean,
if he keeps winning, I think it's going to be big.
Listen, those guys who saw Dustin Johnson in the gym but didn't know who he was, I bet you when they were watching that final round, like, wait, that was the guy who was with Dustin Johnson.
I think it's going to start imprinting. I think that Brooks Koepka is going to be that guy. I think, and two, what do we love? We love those crashing and powering drives. I mean, he was hitting the ball. That one green he hit was what, 340 yards? I mean, it's crushing the ball.
It's like that Happy Gilmore effect, you know?
Yeah.
People love seeing that stuff.
And then solid, too. I mean, you know, credit to him as well because, you know, he even said he was there on the tee and he hears the roar of the crowds. I mean, Tiger still gets the crowds. We played that audio a second ago. It was super loud. And he hears that. And, you know, you got to have some ice water in your veins.
For sure.
To stay that ice cold to be able to still make it happen. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Brooks Koepka, will he start getting love? He's going to start hopefully getting love in South Florida first. But will people remember his name? What's it going to take for this guy to become a household name?
I think at this point today, people are waking up and remembering, okay, Brooks Koepka is the guy who beat Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And now he's won a few majors. So
He's
it's a big deal.
To keep in mind, Tiger's still at 14.
Yes.
It's going to take a while. You still got a long way to go. And if, you know, Brooks Koepka is looking for, can I get some respect? Can I get a little bit of love? Can I get a little bit of the gallery? Still going to take some time because there's no way, even with a couple more, I think major championship wins, you're not going to drive 69% of the ratings.
No one's ever going to do that again. No.
Probably not.
I mean, it's Michael Phelps in swimming and Tiger Woods in golf. Like that's who does that.
That's
and actually, and Tiger has the Ryder Cup coming up too, so you can't forget that.
Yeah,
that's going to be big.
You're right. Golf's not done, so the story's not over yet this year. Coming up in a couple minutes, what is going on Dolphins camp? Some players' stock is rising, some it's falling. We'll let you know the breakdown on who's doing what next.
Get Kevin's other show whenever the hell you want on YouTube and at 640thehurricane.com.
So did you get to check out your Dolphins on Thursday night?
I did.
Okay, what did you see? What did you think? Initial response.
First
anybody
impression?
jump out at you?
Oh, no, not really. I'll just say no on that one. Actually, you know what? No, to be fair, Minkah looked pretty good. He was explosive. He was all over the field. He pretty much, what he did in that first preseason game, you know, when they played him, he lived up to the scouting report you always heard. You know, he's all over the field. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can play dime and nickel defenses. I mean, you kind of saw that. He was everywhere. So that was cool to see. They should have kept in Ryan Tannehill longer, my opinion. He was in there for a series. He looked rusty. Why not put him in there one more series after that?
We start off, his three passes were good, right? And then I think after that, then it kind of broke down a little bit.
He almost got Danny Amendola killed with one of his throws because he led him too far. And Amendola, to his credit, is diving for the ball, trying to catch it, and almost got his head taken off. So, I mean, those are the kind of things he has to work on.
Yeah, but, I mean, you got to keep in mind, they still got 3 preseason games left. And, look, I think that's also the big balance that is going on there because you look in Washington, the Redskins, I mean, you know, they've got a running back that they're counting on that's already tore his ACL and is out for the season.
Yeah, poor Darius Geis.
Yeah. I mean, so, you know, that's the nightmare situation you don't want to have happen. It is a fine line between knocking on some of the rust, but you might say, okay, can we do that in more safer confines within our own practice facility than turning him loose and giving him extra reps?
No, practice is so much different than, I mean, you know, between the game and practice, the game speed is just, it's a whole nother level. And I get it.
But don't you think they're going that fast speed, but they're not getting that contact? They don't have to worry about that stuff. I mean, one of the stories coming out of Dolphins camp is that Kalen Ballage just totally whiffed on a block to Charles Harris. And Charles Harris was so close to Tannehill, he just got right up to him and took a knee and didn't make any contact. I mean, if that were a game, Tannehill's getting lit up.
Yes.
And who knows what happens to Tannehill. Tannehill was so mad, he kicks Ballage out of the huddle and says, no, you're out of here, rookie. He's like, you know, you can't whiff on a block like that. You're going to get me killed. So, I mean, I think people are flying around. He's still seeing that kind of coverage, and he's still thrown into the same kind of windows, isn't he, in practice? But he's not having to risk the contact?
It's different, though. It's just different in a game because you're going against your defense. You're going against your defense coordinator. So you can only see so many looks. You know, they want to give him as many defensive looks as possible to get him back on track, but you're never really going to get fully there until you go against a different scheme and different players with different speeds and talents.
Do you think they need 4 games for that to happen, to get season ready?
Well, that's the thing. He's not going to play the 4th game. He won't play the 4th game, I don't think, anyway, unless they surprise us.
Well, I mean, don't they typically, what they do is they start off slow, and then as they get closer, then they'll get more reps?
Yeah, he'll have that progression, so he'll probably play.
It's kind of like spring training for baseball players,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, so he'll probably play maybe the first quarter, 2 series. 2 series normally ends up being the first quarter. He'll probably do that Thursday against Carolina.
And by the 4th game, he's probably playing a half, right? When you say Tannehill?
I'd be surprised if they play in the 4th game, because that's usually where you put in the backups. But maybe they will. I mean, because if he needs that much work, then maybe they'll surprise us and put him in the 4th game. That 3rd game is what they always call the dress rehearsal. You know, that's where you would normally see him play at least that first half. Some guys going into the 3rd quarter in the 3rd game.
How do you feel about these joint practices that they do? Because one of the things that's coming out now is they're going to be playing on Thursday, but you got the Jets and Redskins who get into a massive brawl.
Yes.
In just what is a regular practice.
I love. As a fan, you love it because it's entertainment.
But you don't want to get anybody hurt.
Right. But you see, that goes to the point that I was just saying was you can only do so much against your own team every single day.
But this way you're seeing a different look on a defense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that gets to the end of what you want, and you can still protect your quarterback.
Right.
Because that's the ultimate what you don't want to have happen is your quarterback go down.
Right.
So, I mean, that is better. I mean, could you maybe do 2 preseason games and do multiple practices with other teams and get what you need out of it?
Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. The preseason, I mean, we talk about this every year once we get to the 3rd game and you see guys getting injured for the season, we say the same thing every year. We're going to say it again this year. It's way too long. Preseason should only be 2 games. So what you're saying makes perfect sense. That's the solution, is where you have maybe some more, inter-squad practices. You get some different looks. You can still find out who you want to keep on your team. That first game can be for the guys to get back into it. Second game can be for the guys that you're trying to figure out who's making that 53-man roster.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all you need.
And you do 2, and you do it over the course of a month.
Absolutely.
It's like a week on, a week off, a week on.
But they'll never do it because they sell preseason tickets for the same prices as game tickets, and they make too much money, and people go.
How is the crowd, the Dolphins crowd?
I tweeted out at the start of the game.
Yeah.
At kickoff, not pregame, at kickoff. I put a tweet out, and I said, how did I put it? I said, I've seen more people in a Chick-fil-A line than I see at this Miami Dolphins game right now.
So, I mean,
there was no one there.
For the Dolphins, what are you gaining? Other than running the risk, maybe you get a little bit more work. It feels more like a game, but, I mean, you're running the risk, especially if you do, 2 at home, 2 away?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not drawing a lot. Are you making any money?
I mean, people came, but it still wasn't like, a packed house.
Right.
It was typical Miami. There's no one there at the start of the game, and then into the first quarter, it kind of filled out a little bit.
Continues to sound like Osweiler's struggling, not doing great. Looks like David Fales is going to be your second string, and so I know the talk is the Dolphins are going to have to be looking on the scrap heap to see who they can pick up because they're not going to feel good about any quarterback they got behind Tannehill.
I'm going on record right now. When we had on Dave Hyde on the show last week, I asked him, I said, is it fair for me to say that Osweiler's trash? And he kind of didn't want to answer it because he is. He's trash.
Yeah.
And we are seeing it now. Kev, he came in and got taken out. You don't see a quarterback get taken out of a preseason game. David Fales came in, Osweiler came in, and then Fales came back in. When do you ever see that? It's normally you go down the line 1, 2, 3.
Sure.
And then Bryce Petty, eventually finish out the game. They took him out.
Receiver issues, too. Devontae Parker, they say he is still not doing anything. He's in his 5th season. Like, going, okay, if you don't bring it by year 5, when is the switch finally going to go on?
This is it for him. I mean, this is make or break for Devontae Parker.
Kenny Stills, he got an ankle injury in the game on Thursday.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, so he's a little bit sidelined and banged up.
Uh-oh.
So, yeah, how are you feeling about stuff? They say Gesicki's starting to block a little bit better, and I really think, I mean, when you're talking about the receivers, if Devontae Parker's not bringing it, Kenny Stills, I think he's going to recover pretty quickly, but I think he needs to be a key component of the offense this year, right?
Yeah. I mean,
he's going to be effective?
He led the team in touchdowns last season, I mean, as far as receiving touchdowns go. Are there any other former Patriots wide receivers we can pick up? Anybody you can think of out there? I don't know.
And on defense, Minka Fitzpatrick, they say it looks like he's starting to weasel his way into a starting nickel job.
Telling you, man, I like him.
And Jerome Baker looks like he's close to it as well at linebacker.
Nice.
So,
not the Baker we wanted, but if he's
Yeah.
playing well at linebacker, then we'll take him.
So who knows what happens. Boy, some people maybe put a little bit too much on preseason. Sam Darnold, did you see everybody's raving thinking that now he's going to be the Jet starter after what he did in Game 1?
The Sam Chise.
Yes.
That's
Apparently
right.
that is going to be it. Coming up here in just a couple of minutes, is the University of Maryland doing the right thing? How many coaches, before we even start the college season, are going to wind up on some kind of administrative leave? We'll discuss the supposed toxic environment at Maryland coming up next.
Be part of the show on Twitter at 640 The Hurricane, hashtag Kevin's Other Show.
Well, the Miami Hurricanes had a scrimmage on Saturday, and it looks like they're starting to lay some of the field turf, so they might be inside their indoor facility here before the end of fall camp breaks.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's looking pretty good. They actually took it to Hard Rock Stadium on Saturday night.
Oh, good.
It was a closed situational workout. They just kind of wanted some of the younger players especially to kind of get in that big of an arena.
I know. I was kind of upset. Nobody's allowed in there because we don't know what happened.
Yeah, they kind of gave you some indication of what went on. Offensive line, they said, provided better protection on Saturday than what they had seen before so far in the spring. In the spring, they gave up like 22 sacks in 3 scrimmages. So offensive line was a big concern, but they say it's looking a little bit better. It looks like your boy Malik Rozier is holding on to the starter job. He threw 2 touchdown passes with no picks.
Good.
He looks okay. And Kosi Perry looks like he's doing okay. And that Jaron Williams, this young hotshot.
Yeah, the 5-star, 4-star, 5-star.
Yeah, he was a big hotshot. They say, he's showing like his athletic ability, but he still just doesn't seem to really know the system. So I would not expect to see him cracking a lot of playing time unless, it's just mop-up duty.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like a Perry. Another one of those guys you hear about. Oh, the talent. This guy's amazing, and we have no idea what they look like. We haven't seen them in a game yet, especially Perry. I mean, obviously Williams just got there, but I want to see what Perry looks like on the field during a game, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, you do want to see that, but
right?
I think you'll get a chance. I mean, early on, obviously, probably not going to see him in the LSU game.
No.
But, in Game 2, you're probably going to see a little bit of him.
I hope so. Savannah State, that's the home opener for Miami.
Oh, my gosh. I
Yes.
mean, they're going to have everybody playing in that one.
6 o'clock game on September 8th at home opener.
Okay.
Savannah State. Everybody play. You and I are going to go out there and play for Miami in that game. Everybody's playing against Savannah State. Everybody's dressing.
One quiet, subtle thing to keep an eye on, the Canes, they have a freshman kicker. That's who they're looking to. Bubba Baxa is this guy's name?
Bubba Baxa, sure.
They say he's struggling.
Oh, no. Come on, man.
Well, that's tough. When you got a freshman coming in, you're going to be relying on this guy?
I keep hearing about Bubba. He's got, like another Sebastian Janikowski. Like, I keep hearing about this guy.
Yeah, they say he's just got a wicked leg, but, I mean, it's just shooting it all over this place.
He's got to learn how to...
He's got a shotgun leg.
Yes.
It's got a lot of power, but you never know where it's going to go.
Just spraying field goals everywhere.
Yeah.
All right.
So they say that is a little bit of concern from the scrimmage that happened on Saturday.
Come on, Bubba.
Well, we got another program that has placed their head coach on administrative leave. I think they're just working their way through the Big Ten. Urban Meyer still on administrative leave. We'll see what his fate might be this week.
Watch out, Harbaugh.
Yeah, Harbaugh. They've got a shoe thing that is going on there at Michigan.
Oh, no, really? I was just kidding.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Jeez. I'm just thinking about other Big Ten schools.
Oh, yeah, no. They got a possible thing with players selling shoes.
Oh, boy.
At Michigan.
Another one of these?
Yeah, it's similar. It sounds like to the North Carolina thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, it's crazy.
What are we doing with the shoes? Come on.
Well, you got DJ Durkin, who now has been placed on administrative leave at the University of Maryland. And the big question is the school handling it the right way? There are reports that are coming out that there is a toxic environment that's going on there. And this comes off the death of an offensive lineman, Jordan McNair,
Right.
who passed away after a practice that they had there. And it sounded like the conditioning was tough. And here is the family's attorney talking about the fact that the staff didn't even know how to identify a heat stroke.
Well, first of all, coaches have to, as a matter of course, be required to understand the symptoms of heat stroke. And had this coaching staff done even minimal heat stroke training, they would have seen immediately that that was what was going on with him.
I see, this is tough, man, because they should know. Now, listen, two things here. They should know because coaches now go through this type of training on what to look out for, especially in major college programs. I mean, it's no joke. He is not this poor kid who passed away. Jordan McNair is not the first kid to pass away from this. It's happened before in high schools and in colleges. So that's why they are told to keep an eye out for this stuff now. Now, at the same token, there's also trainers. There's also team doctors. Why aren't they saying anything? You know, I mean, there has to be some type of checks and balances here. I understand the head coach is the head coach, and he's a grand poobah over everybody. But you can't have guys dying. I mean, what are we doing? There has to be some type of system in place.
Well, it just seems like it's kind of left up to each individual program. Like, what are the protocols that are in place to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen? And it sounds like there are some deaths that happen that, okay, you know, this is not the first time that we've heard that even this season about these toxic. And I get it that football is more rough, tough, tumble. But, you know, they were talking about some things where apparently one of the accusations is that the head trainer was chucking weights in players' directions. So, okay, what do we allow? What do we not allow? What kind of language is acceptable? You know, can you call players names? Can you not call players names? How much can you work them physically? Because ultimately what it is, you got to break your body down to build it back up.
Right.
But how do you know and how do you understand when a kid is legitimately in distress physically?
And that's the thing about it, is you have to be trained in the signs to look for on somebody who may be suffering from heat stroke. Well, first off, if he's fainting, if there are people fainting, that's a pretty clear sign of possible heat stroke. Well, so that's number one.
What you're playing off of here, and you know what was interesting is Will Muschamp, who had DJ Durkin on his staff at Florida, came out strongly defending DJ Durkin. He said there is no credibility in anonymous sources, and the anonymous sources saying that there was a toxic environment that was going on at the University of Maryland. He said if that former staffer had any guts, why didn't he put his name on that? I think that's gutless. In any football team, especially right here in August, you can find a disgruntled player that's probably not playing. I think it's a lack of journalistic integrity to print things with anonymous sources. I know DJ Durkin personally. I know what kind of man he is.
Okay, I mean, he may have a point when it comes to the actual reporting of the culture side of things. But I mean, if you're Muschamp, can you throw in at least a little bit? My condolences to the family. I mean, somebody died. Will, I mean,
that's where I think this comes off, where it is tone deaf.
Yeah,
because you are talking about a player has lost his life, and there is an issue. And I think you do need to look at the entire program to say, are they doing everything right? When other people are throwing out the accusation, it's not like it's an accusation with no source and no name that no event happened. A player has died.
Yes.
So now when somebody says there is a toxic environment going on, you have to do this. But this seems to be the protocol of the university, and maybe this is still the right play. It's what Ohio State's doing with Urban Meyer. You place the coach on administrative leave. You then start doing your research to find out what is going on. And then what is the definition of a toxic environment? What should and should not be allowed when it comes to college and even professional football?
Yeah.
You know, even in the NFL, I mean, there was a story that I had a little bit of a raised eyebrow about with Hugh Jackson. He was talking about his punishment for Antonio Callaway, and his marijuana citation was when he wanted to come out of the game, he wouldn't let him out of the game. He said, you're going to stay in the game, and actually you're going to play more than anything. So if somebody's getting gassed and they're saying, I need a breather, no, you're staying out there. You're going to continue running. It's not even just at a college level. It's at an NFL level.
Sure.
And I'm sure you're going to have guys that will dog it. And you're like going, no. So how do you establish these standards of what is toxic and what is, no, man, we got to push you, because sometimes players don't push themselves.
I mean, to me, it sounds like football. I mean, when I played football, when I coached football, it sounds like the things that are being described is what would happen during the course of football, of training, of practice. You run until you run into the ground. You have coaches screaming in your face, cursing at you, calling you names that nobody else would call you except the drill sergeant. I mean, that's how it goes. And I don't want to sound tone deaf myself in this, because you have to have that fine line, of course, where you can't work people to death, literally. But when you talk about culture and obviously being smart about how you're practicing your players, the culture thing, I think, is different, because you're talking about how now you're approaching your team. And look, I mean, not everybody does it. Tony Dungy was famous for never yelling and cursing. It's just how some coaches are. I mean, that's what I grew up in. I know that's probably what you grew up in. That was always football.
Right.
I mean, am I wrong about this?
No, I think where the dividing line is a football program, you should be able to be tough. You should be able to maintain the attitude you want, but there is a line between tough and abusive. And that's just where you got to figure out what it is. Chucking weights at anybody that could physically hurt somebody.
Yeah, that's a little much.
That goes over the line of abusive.
Yeah.
Now, the name calling and this and that, I personally don't think it's necessarily the right way to have to motivate somebody, but you're right. You could argue and say that that's football and that's what we do. Different people respond to different things, and different programs are going to have different kind of attitudes. And I think that's what it is figuring out what is tough and what is abusive, but it's also understanding when do these guys need water breaks? How many wind sprints can you run before saying you're going to start getting these guys into the danger level?
Right.
And there is something about, yes, in conditioning, you have to break the body down, but you got to realize there is a point where you're broken down too much.
Yeah.
And you would think with science today, they should be able to start putting some parameters on this to say, look, these players can only do this many sprints in this amount of time, and that's probably what we're coming to.
That I have no problem with, because like I said, at the beginning of this, there has to be, in my opinion, some type of checks and balances. You can't just have the head coach. When it comes to health, you can't have the head coach just be the overall dictator on how things are going, because, well, this happens.
Right. When you got somebody that is dead, you definitely need to do an investigation.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens with that. But the Big Ten could be down 2 coaches.
Man.
Yeah.
What's happening?
It's crazy stuff. Well, there's more controversy that's going around with the Dolphins. Now, they did have some people at the preseason game on Thursday that were demonstrating with the national anthem, but it's an interesting statement what some South Florida organizations are saying about that demonstration and the stand they're trying to take coming up next.
Yep. He's here, too. It's Kevin's Other Show, right here on 640 The Hurricane.
Gosh, we can't even get out of the preseason without having this national anthem stuff be a big controversy.
I was so jealous of you on Thursday because you were on vacation with the family in Chicago Thursday and Friday, and I knew coming in here Friday afternoon that I was now going to have to talk again about the national anthem controversy. I'm like, why can't I just be away like Kevin right now?
Yeah, it just, I think that so many people are getting to the point where they're just tired of talking about it, and that's probably on both sides of it. They're tired that it's an issue. They're tired that it's still so divisive. Something that is supposed to unite us is dividing us, and no matter what your take is of it, it is still continuing to divide. My opinion, admittedly, is kind of shifted a little bit when it comes to the anthem and the statements that are being made during the anthem. And after, hearing what I had heard, and we talked a good bit about it in the story about how Kaepernick got to kneeling as opposed to sitting on the bench, I feel a lot more differently about it. I think that there are some viable issues and some concerns. And I think that if you feel like there are some social injustice issues that are happening, you should be able to make a statement. Some players have said, look, I don't think that the anthem should be the vehicle for doing that.
Right.
And that is players of, basically all races have said that, and that is the stance of them. So that is not, particular to just one race on that. It happened for the Dolphins preseason game on Thursday, and now there's a couple counties in South Florida where the Police Benevolent Association is saying, you know what, hey, why don't you guys send your Dolphins tickets back in? We don't want to support this organization that is making a stand against cops, and that's how they see it.
That's how they see it, right.
And that, I think, is what's unfortunate. And, hey, I understand, and it's understandable, there's sensitivity to it. Because, in a sense, somebody is saying that we don't think that you do your job the right way and that you're biased in how you do it and that you use deadly force when you shouldn't.
Right.
And that you have race come in as a factor. And there are probably a lot of them saying, look, none of us, or hardly any of us, we feel, on our police department do that. But there are stories that are out there. There are people that feel that way. And America was based on the ability to be able to take a stand and be able to say something if you wanted to. It'd be nice if we come into a place to say, look, that's just how they feel. We should be able to have our own feelings and our own opinions without getting so upset. And it does feel like a politicized issue.
Oh, 100%.
And I thought it was going to be interesting because I really thought that we were going to get through this. Even when I heard that, Kenny Stills and a couple other players were demonstrating at the preseason game, I was like, okay, there's probably not going to be much backlash. And then I saw this story about some of the police forces in the police union in Broward and Palm Beach County saying, send your tickets back. Screw them.
I can't say. You know what? I love that you were so optimistic about this. I do, because I saw this coming, and it's only the beginning. I mean, we're in the middle of August? The regular season hasn't even started yet. The NFL has no idea what they're doing with this. They're not going to come up with any rules. You know, Roger Goodell and the Players Union have now walked away with their tail between their legs because they have no idea what to do anymore.
No.
And this is, I mean, this goes back to something I was saying late last week, in that are we at the point where we should just say, like, whatever, just let this go, let them do what they want? I mean, are we at that point now? Because short of the NFL coming out and saying you will be suspended without pay, like President Trump has put out on Twitter saying suspended without pay, that's the only way these guys are not going to protest. And even then, they probably would. Well, just to make a statement. I mean, so it's going to happen. It's going to happen either way.
If they don't do anything, is it going to go away? I mean, again, still, you don't see it in baseball. You don't see it in the NBA. You don't see it in any other sport.
Right.
This is unique to football. And yet you've got people of all different races in all the other sports as well. You know, they keep bringing up the stat that 70% of the NFL has black players. And, you know, it's not unlike the same thing in the NBA, but you don't see the same kind of issues.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, absolutely 100%. I mean, the demographic of the leagues are very, very similar.
Right.
But for some reason, like we said, it all started, a few years ago. And, it's just gotten to the point, for me at least, where it's just like, whatever, dude. I mean, do I agree with the way you're doing it? No, I never have. I never have. But if this is happening, then it's happening. Just whatever. Just let me watch football.
And the problem, too, imagine this if you're a police officer in South Florida now. In a sense, you've got your police union that's saying, hey, we encourage you. Why don't you send those tickets back? It's almost like, gosh, I really kind of want to go to some Dolphins games. But
right.
Do you feel bad, and do your coworkers like going, oh, so you went to a Dolphins game?
Right,
okay.
Now you're going to be looked down upon at the station.
Right, it's like, geez, gosh. I mean, it's unbelievable. This is still continuing on in year two. And I think a lot of people probably feel like I do, that you're just so over it.
Yeah, honestly. I just want football. I mean,
right.
We spend so much energy on this now. Wouldn't it be nice to spend that energy back to where it used to be, which was just rooting for the team?
Yeah.
Just root for your team. They want to do their thing, fine. Stop showing it on TV. Stop making a national headline 5 minutes after it happens.
Yeah.
Just, if they're going to do their thing, it is what it is. I mean, is it really affecting anything that much? Just because some people, including myself, don't like it, just whatever.
The thing that was discouraging the most out of that game is you realize it is going to be a factor. It's going to be something that
Yes.
People are going to politicize, and there's going to be anger after every single weekend in the NFL.
It's exhausting.
It is.
I'm exhausted, Kev. I'm exhausted.
I really hope we don't have to talk about the rest of the year, but I have a feeling it's probably not over.
And we're going to.
Derek Jeter said that the Marlins are moving in the right direction.
Oh, okay.
They are moving in the right direction. This is where he sees them.
I needed that laugh. Thank you.
They just got rid of Justin Bour.
Yeah.
He's gone. The pitching staff, I don't know. I mean, are there any bright spots or not? I don't know. Wei Yin Chen, thought Mattingly was really selling his performance from yesterday.
He was okay.
Okay. He was okay.
I love that's his initial reaction.
He allowed
Right.
4 runs, 2 earned, 4 hits in 6 innings. He's 4-9. The Marlins are 18 games out. They got the second worst win percentage in the National League, just ahead of the Padres. And Jeter says things are moving in the right direction.
It's looking good, man. I'm encouraged.
Yeah, the farm system is better. There you go.
Okay.
Maybe there's a few bright, shiny pieces. But the big question, how many years away is the team from doing anything?
Do you think that Starlin Castro was just in the back of his head, just a little bit jealous when Justin Bour got traded?
Oh, big time.
Right?
Yeah, I think Castro's out of here. I think Derek Dietrich is gone.
They have to be thinking, just get me out of here already. Like, I've done my time. Let me get out.
I think the person that's probably the most concerned, the most upset is Real Muto. I think he's like going, gosh, because he wanted to trade it before the season.
Yeah, that's true.
He's like, I'm stuck, because they're talking about how they want to build whatever they're going to do around him. He's like, gosh, what do I do to get out of here?
These poor guys. Us poor Marlins fans. It's so sad.
So there you go.
But hey, Jeter says it's going in the right direction.
Jeter
so.
says it's going in the right direction.
All right, there we go.
Yes. Hey, if you want to check out the show, we're on YouTube. Just go to the KVJ Show. You got the podcast. You can keep listening. We appreciate everybody that's like checking out the show and letting people know about it and spreading the word. And, it's all going in the right direction. So thank you guys so much, man, for sticking in there and for hitting us up on Twitter as well. You can follow along. It's Kevin's Other Show.
You listened to him on the KVJ show for years. Every time he tried to talk sports, he'd get shut down. After years of begging, we finally gave in. Brought to you by Wellington Anti-Aging. Low T? Go to WellingtonAntiAging.com. And by Bremen Motor Cars in West Palm Beach, a world-class experience. Shop BremenPorsche.com now. It's Kevin's Other Show on 640 The Hurricane.